Okay, Gary, let's talk about Dan Seaborn first of all. Nasty looking injury in the week. What's the latest on him?
Yeah, there's a few of them took little knocks, and you always have to keep an eye on that when you've got sort of Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday games. You know, it's especially at this level, because everybody that was here saw how quick the pace is at this level. Certainly the top teams in the Championship are Premiership in the making, and they do play that very quick brand of football that you've got to be very much aware of, and you've got to be a part of. I thought it was probably the quickest game ever here at Hewish Park. Do you know what I mean? Because I thought both teams played a quick game, but they was just a little bit more clinical than us when it came down to it.
Yeah, and then is doubt then for the weekend, Dan? Is it?
Well, he might be, but you know, at the moment, I would say probably he'd be okay. And you know, it wasn't something that will keep him out for long anyway. But no, I'm sure he's making himself available for selection.
Yeah, how are you assessing Shane Duffy's early contribution?
Well, it's been you know, quietly competitive. You know, he's not going to put up any trees by going past three people and smashing it in the top corner. Be nice, but he's been solid. You know, he's been part of a back four that, for most parts of games, are keeping the opposition out. We've made a couple of mistakes. We've given a couple of penalties away. You know, there's been a few quick breaks that have sort of opened us up a little bit, but you know, we're not a million miles away from where we want to be. It's just individually everybody has to up their game, whoever it is, and that's what we're looking for. So if you're a striker, you've got to up your game. Midfield play, you've got to get more passes. If you're a defender, you've got to stop the goals going in and be very vigilant with the top strikers that are around.
Yeah, and have you noticed that the players are upping in training? Has it been what you were looking for, the response?
Yeah, they're very committed, and they want to do well, and they want to do well for the club, for themselves, for each other, and that can be frustrating in itself because they want to do so well. But and the other thing about this league is there's a lot more tactics in this league. So sometimes you have to put someone in, leave someone out. You play slightly different shape, or you put a round peg in a different round hole. You know, it depends on the opposition. There's a lot of tactics at this level, and there's a lot of information. All opposition would have seen our last 4, 5, 6 games. They know every individual as we do, and you've got to do that because it's like, you know, it's like going to war, really. You know, you've got to know what the strengths and weaknesses of everybody individually and the opposition team.
Yeah, Middlesbrough next up. What have you made of their start of the season?
Well, they'll be disappointed with their start of the season, of course, because, you know, I think they were one of the favourites to be there or thereabouts. Certainly, I think Middlesbrough supporters and the manager and the board directors and their players would have, you know, will be expecting them, because there's still plenty of time to be challenging for a playoff spot. That hasn't quite happened for them yet. You know, it's a long way to go. We've got to make sure that we do some things on the bus that are conducive to what we're going to do when we get there. You know, so we're going to use that as a little bit of a classroom on the day, and hopefully we can, you know, try and beat them mentally as well as physically.
Yeah, I mean, you've got some long trips, haven't you? Bolton last week. This week it's to Middlesbrough. I suppose that's just the nature of the division, but in some ways nice to get them out of the way in that respect.
Yeah, it is. You know, it's not the middle of winter yet, is it? You know, we don't want to go in the middle of January or something, you know, when the roads are impassable and things. So yeah, it's good to get them out of the way, but and it's good to get some of the top teams out of the way at Hewish Park as well. We've had a few of them now. You know, I think, well, we've already played 4 of the top 5 sort of thing. Not all at Hewish. I mean, one of them wasn't, but most of them have been. So we've got to, you know, just keep our nuts down and keep working. We know that we're not scoring enough goals yet. You know, that's, you know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work that out. But we've got players that can score goals, and you know, at this moment in time, until, you know, you find any better for the, you know, the value for money, if you like, then they're the ones that you keep faith with, and hopefully it'll be this group that gets us out of trouble. But if it isn't this group, then of course come January it'll be a different group.
Yeah, and you talk about the goals there, but Philip, I suppose in some ways James Hayter, first striker to score, and the monkey off your back with the goal here at Hewish as well. So it's something positive again. I suppose Philip was saying there's a lot of positives to bring from games. It's the points that you want.
Well, no, because I'm not the one that necessarily says it. You know, I'm only answering questions. I can only answer the question that's put to me. And if somebody says, "Oh, there are a lot of positives," then of course you say yes. But and of course there are. You know, because again the other night it was a great game. It was like a real passionate, quick thinking, physical game, and we did come up against a team that are Premiership in the waiting. That's what I keep saying. There's 2 or 3 of them in our league at the moment, and they're one of them. And I warned the boys about that. But we was in it, barring a quality finish.
Yeah, and looking at Middlesbrough, some familiar faces to the area. Albert Adoma, for example, was at Bristol City after your time, of course, but is a quality player, isn't he?
Yeah, it took him a long time to cut the umbilical cord at Bristol City. He was leaving, then he wasn't, then he was, then he wasn't. Anyway, he's gone there now. And yeah, of course, we know about him, we know about his strengths, we know about his weaknesses. Carroll on the other side, obviously, he was in the area, wasn't he? So we know about him as well. So it's, on their game, they're going to be a difficult side to come up against. But we got to be on our game and then see how they handle that.
Yeah, was Albert one of the players on the City radar when you were in charge there?
No, he wasn't. No, I didn't. He was only a young lad wherever he was. So no, I can't claim anything on Albert.
No, good luck, Gary. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, sir.
I've got a question. Obviously, it's miserable today. The guys are out training at the moment. Are you seeing the ones that are really hungry?
You're just a miserable person.
Are you seeing kind of a difference? Are some people really standing out to you today, showing that they're more up for it? 'Cause obviously, they're getting out there and getting stuck in horrible conditions.
I don't think the conditions make any difference, really. We've had a job to do today. Middlesbrough have got a certain way of playing, and we got to try and put our way of playing on them, and then we got to try and break them down. And so, whether it's raining, sunshine, snowing, freezing, boiling up, you still got to do that job. And the boys, if they're not concentrating, if they look cold and miserable, and then of course you say, you go and stand over there, see you later, and we'll pick someone else. And they know that. So if we see them, not 100% in training, then there's no way they get to play a game. And most of our boys, all of them know that, because that has happened in the past, and so they concentrate in training.
Cool, thank you.
Thanks.
Just a quick one about Liam Fontaine. How's he coming along?
Yeah, Liam. I spoke to Liam a few days ago, 2 or 3 days ago, and he's. I think he's planning maybe to come back Monday-ish, although he won't be ready yet. But I think he's probably got another week or 2 before he's ready to play again. But I think he'd like to get back in the swing of things, as he's still here till January. But he's doing his rehabilitation, part of it at Bristol, and the last part of it we think will be here.
How are things at Mal? What's that thing about this morning actually? 5 home games, 5 defeats. Normally, at any sort of level of football, they'd be like shouting for the chairman to be sacked, the manager to be sacked.
Yeah, you was when I was first here.
Yeah,
and got a few defeats.
Was. Yeah.
I remember that geezer with a drum who used to come round and get slaughterous. Used to see him coming. Yeah.
Exactly that back in the I can remember even going back further, ISIS League days, like lose 2 games out and
well,
here,
quite rightly, at any club, that's generally the case.
But you talk to people now and then,
it
was great.
And
you think it was weird.
And I'm really pleased. Most people, there's still some people that still not appreciating where their team are. When I read little bits and pieces here and there, and look at some of the websites, that I like to keep an eye on. But this club, we all know, has done fantastic to get to this level, and a lot of other people are giving us plaudits, so we don't have to say that too many times, but every now and again you might have to say it. And we are, barring 1 goal generally, competing at this level. And yes, we'd love to go into games and be top of the league, but at the moment that's not going to be the case, because it is our first season. I think, barring officialdom, we probably would have had 5 or 6 more points. Would you agree with that? Anyone disagree with that? Put your hand up. Right, thank you.
Yeah.
So there you go. So all of a sudden, you're mid-table, nearer the playoffs than you are relegation sort of thing. So, you know, we've got 46 games that we've got to get it right in. And, you know, we don't want this club in the same position as it is now after 46 games. And we're going to do all we can to make sure that we're not. But you've got to make the right decisions at the right time. In hindsight, you never quite know what's going to happen in the next game, and when do you change everything? Because do you change everything, get a new squad in, get rid of the old squad, when we could have had 5 or 6 more points? The public, our public, are enjoying the football we're playing. We're just that one more goal away from it being a fantastic season. Do you know what I mean? That one more goal a game sort of thing, you know, that puts us in the lead. But you know, that's why people are okay, because I think they understand football here, they want to see the football, we're trying to play the football. You know, if you want your Lionel Messis and all that, then you got to pay for them. Meanwhile, we've got to try and make a Lionel Messi.
But do you see what I mean though? Like 5 home defeats.
Yeah, I know.
Hell.
And that's nice. But no, they're not. But I think because if we wasn't playing well or wasn't giving 100%, then you're entitled to say, no, hold on a minute, I'm paying me money.
Yeah.
I'm not coming here just to watch the opposition. I want to watch our team perform as well. And I think people are getting that. All they're not getting is the end result here at home. Our away form, you know, is 1 win and 2 draws out of whatever it is, 4 or 5. So that's not too bad. And they've been so close every one of the games, and so I can't wait for the first home win now for all the supporters that have kept with us, and they'll need to keep with us for a little while longer, a lot longer, for the whole season, because you know we're going to have some. Do you know what happens when you get to the end of a season? You've got maybe 10, 12 games to go. If you're mid-table with no hope of getting to the playoffs, season's dead. But if you're a little bit lower and still keeping out of relegation, and you've got some big games here, that just keeps the whole thing alive. Do you know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying I'd rather be in relegation than in the middle. Of course I don't. But all I'm saying is, whatever happens in this league, you're going to have big games. And we want the big games, and we want the big crowds, and we want the atmosphere. Do you know what I mean? So, listen, we're going to try and get 2 or 3 wins on the trot to get us out of the relegation zone. But if the worst comes to the worst, and that's where we are, then there's going to be some big games here later on in the season.
Is that a game plan?
No go, I'm just telling you how it is, isn't I? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think we're going
to do all we can to get out of the trouble. Not trouble, because you're not in trouble yet, but we are below that line. So we'll do all we can to get up that league. Of course we will, but we got to take all scenarios into perspective, and I'm keeping faith with our squad right now. And if I need to make 1 or 2 changes, of course I will. And 1 or 2 may leave to go somewhere or go back somewhere, and then we'll bring in 1 or 2, when it all comes around.
Is it frustrating at the moment, that thinking that you're so close to?
Yeah, it's frustrating because we are so close to picking up another 5 or 6 points. You know what I mean? Now, you can't blame the lads for not picking up them 5 or 6 points, because for all intents and purposes, people are telling us that there's been mistakes made officially. We've made mistakes as well that's cost us, but those 5 or 6 points extra would look very handy right this minute. And people are going, well, we can't give you the points back, but we understand why you're frustrated in those particular decisions. I wasn't going to bring that up again, but...
Having played in the Championship before with Bristol City,
did
you expect the refereeing standards to be better than they turned out to be?
Well, are you going to pay my fine? You pay my fine. I think there's a lot of new refs coming into the game, and quite rightly so. That's good. In fact, it was the referee's coach that spoke to me, not the assessor, at Bolton, and he asked if I would send him a DVD about what we thought was over the line, and he was the one who came back and said, yeah, they've looked at it and it was over the line, can't give you anything back. So all you want really is a proper feedback. That's really what I like. And if people are wrong, then they say they're wrong, and we go, thanks a lot. Could the young referees learn by that? And if they're right, I stand back and go, listen, yeah, I see what you're saying, I understand. And then there's a bit of a better dialogue. Generally when you get a feedback, it's a copy of what the assessor has sent to the referee, and generally he backs him. That's what seems to be happening. But then if that goes any further afield, it goes somewhere else. So to help the referees, they need to take all these incidences that every week managers moan about. It's not just me moaning every week, is it? There's a lot of them, and say, well look, here's what the managers are moaning about, let's have a good look at them. What is it that they're moaning about? And if they decide that the managers are moaning just to save their jobs, then they should come out and say that. You know what I mean? Like some say, oh, we blame the ref just to save their job and that, you know what I mean? But most of us are genuine in trying to help the game become more consistent. Do you know what I mean? That's what
you mentioned jobs though. I mean, these decisions, if they're incorrect, can cost people jobs.
Well, of course they can, including office staff and ticket staff. You know what I mean? Video men and all that. Yeah, it does. But it's still human nature. People still have got to make decisions, and no one's making a decision because they prefer one club to the other. Of course, they're not doing that. But the inconsistencies have tended to fall against us this year. Now, whether we get them back or not, I don't know, with the law of averages. But we have had some inconsistencies this year. And really, that's all I'm trying to, highlight them so that we get a better refereeing standard because they're more consistent. So have a look at them all and give us the right feedback.
But you often find, don't you, that the bad decisions always seem to go against the teams who are at the lower end of the league table rather than at the top there.
Whether that's human nature, whether that's true or not, we don't know. No. We haven't got stats, but it's been true for us this season. That's a little bit of a worry to us. It has been true to us this season, but we'll see. Whoever what goes round comes round, and you get your own bit of human nature later on. I don't know.